Hello everyone, I am Jade Ullrich, a clinical dietitian here at KSB Hospital, and thank you for joining me for this nutrition presentation today on high fiber grains, oatmeal and quinoa. So to start off with, oats are a type of cereal grain, and they can come in several different types depending on how they are processed. So first we have oat groats, where only the inedible hulls have been removed, so they still contain all three parts of the grain, which are the germ, endosperm, and sperm. And this is the least processed oat. So next we have steel cut or Irish oats. These are oat groats that have been cut into 2 or 3 smaller pieces using a steel blade. The larger the size of the pieces, the longer they will take to cook. So next we have Scottish oats. These are oat groats that have been stone ground into a meal, creating a porridge-like texture when cooked. Next, there are rolled or old-fashioned oats. These are oat groats that have been steamed, rolled, and flattened into flakes, then dried to remove moisture so that way they are shelf-stable. And then lastly, we have quick or instant oats. These are oat groats that are steamed for a longer period and rolled into thinner pieces so that they can absorb water easily and cook very quickly. Many brands of instant oats come sweetened or flavored, so try to check for no sugar added. And then next we have quinoa. Quinoa is technically a seed, but it is still considered a whole grain. Quinoa comes in various colors, including black, red, yellow, white, and even purple. The most widely grown are red, black, and white. So next we have the health benefits. As both oats and quinoa are high fiber grains, they will both help in weight control by helping us feel full longer. Oats contain beta-glucan fiber, which can lower cholesterol and help support the immune system. Quinoa can also help lower cholesterol. 1 cup cooked oatmeal is about 4 grams of dietary fiber. And quinoa is a good source of plant protein and fiber. So 1 cup of cooked quinoa provides about 8 grams of protein and 5 grams of fiber. It is also considered a complete protein, meaning that it contains all 9 of the essential amino acids that our bodies cannot make on their own. Quinoa is also naturally gluten-free and can be safely eaten for those who have gluten intolerance or celiac disease. Although oats do not contain gluten, they are often grown, processed, and transported alongside wheat, barley, and rye, which do contain gluten. For those with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, make sure to check the food label on oats or oatmeal for a gluten-free label. And if you are experiencing any symptoms, speak with your doctor about it. Both oats and quinoa contain a variety of vitamins and minerals, including manganese, magnesium, iron, folate, phosphorus, vitamin B, and copper. So next we have some cooking tips for oatmeal. So for instant oatmeal, just follow the package directions for exact cooking time. Generally, less processed oats, such as steel-cut oats, take about 25 to 30 minutes to cook, whereas instant oats take about 1 to 2 minutes to cook. Next, we have overnight oats. So these are typically made with old-fashioned or rolled oats, not instant oats. Mixed with a liquid such as milk or milk alternative, with ingredients such as fruit, nuts, Greek yogurt, chia seeds, flax seeds, or some spices such as cinnamon. This is typically made in a glass jar, as you can see here in the pictures, with a lid. Shake all the ingredients until they are incorporated well, and refrigerate overnight or at least for 4 hours. The oats will soften and the mixture will thicken into a pudding-like mixture. And then lastly, we also have oat flour. So you can use oat flour to substitute in a recipe to add chewiness to cookies or additional nutrients to bread. But you only want to substitute about 25 to 30% of flour with oat flour, as it lacks gluten, and without gluten, cookies would crumble and breads would be dense and lack volume. All right, next we have some cooking tips for quinoa. So before cooking quinoa, you want to use a fine mesh strainer to rinse the quinoa to remove compounds called saponins that can give quinoa a bitter taste. Packaged quinoa is usually pre-rinsed, but some brands may advise rinsing before cooking. Quinoa is prepared similarly to rice, using 2 parts liquid to 1 part dry quinoa. 1 cup dry quinoa will yield about 3 cups cooked quinoa. The liquid used can be water, stock, or other liquids. You may also add herbs or spices during cooking for flavoring, such as bay leaves, marjoram, thyme, black pepper, or garlic or onion powder. Then you want to add the seeds, the liquid, and any desired herbs or spices to the pot and bring to a boil. When a rolling boil is reached, you want to reduce the heat to low, cover the pot, and then simmer for about 12 to 15 minutes or until tender. You may notice a little white tail unfold when it is fully cooked. This is the germ part of the seed. And then next you want to fluff with a fork like you would with rice. You may drain the cooked quinoa in a strainer if you prefer a drier quinoa, then return it back to the pot. Cover and let it sit for about 15 minutes to dry out further. And then quinoa can also be cooked with a rice cooker with the same ratio of 1 cup quinoa to 2 cups water. And also, toasting quinoa before boiling it in a liquid will enhance its flavor, as does cooking it in vegetable broth. So next, how to serve oatmeal. So oatmeal is most commonly eaten for breakfast, but it can also be used in many other ways, as you can see here in some of these pictures. So oats work well in baked goods such as cookies, muffins, pancakes, granola and granola bars, as well as energy bites. Oats can also be added as a binder to meatloaf and burgers. Oat milk is also an alternative to milk. So next we have different ways to serve quinoa. So quinoa can also be prepared as a breakfast cereal by cooking quinoa in milk or in water. Can also add fruit, cinnamon, nuts, or seeds. Can also substitute quinoa in place of rice. Can also add quinoa to salads, soups, or even to stir fries. You can also replace pasta with quinoa in a pasta salad recipe. Can also be popped like popcorn. And cooked quinoa can be stored in an airtight container in the fridge for up to 3 to 5 days. And so lastly, I have a few recipes provided, including quinoa stuffed peppers, quinoa salad, popped quinoa, as I mentioned earlier, overnight oatmeal with berries, blueberry oatmeal pancakes, and pumpkin oatmeal bites. And these will be provided in the link in the description of the video. So thank you so much for joining me for this nutrition presentation today on high fiber grains, oatmeal, and quinoa. I hope you learned a little bit more about oatmeal and quinoa, including their health benefits, cooking tips, and recipes. Thank you and have a good night.